This is Reg Athwal, and welcome to another one of our episodes for book videos that can help families as well as businesses, ideally both you and your network. Fred Smith is the book for today. I don't know if you've had a chance to read this book, but it says Getting the Most Out of Life. Now, this was published back in 1984. I was 12 years of age at that time. How old were you? Were you born around that time? Don't know if the next gen are listening to this, but I was 12 years of age. Incredible. And I probably bought this book when I was around 19. I'm trying to think back, around 19, 20 years of age. It's been in my library since. Read the entire thing, gone through it a couple of times, brief articles in here. But I thought for this book video episode, I've got to reread this entire book. It's been sitting here for a week. I've been going through page after page and trying to extract key things that I can leave you with in today's episode. So interesting, with Fred Smith, I was going through his bio again. He was a businessman, a consultant, a lecturer, president of the Fred Smith Associates organization in Dallas. And he owned a food packaging company. He was born in Tennessee in 1915. I tried to go on Google to find out more about Fred Smith. I couldn't get that much information because it was really bringing up other people called Frederick Smith, and an ex-CEO of FedEx kept coming up. But I know that this gentleman here was married for well over 65 years when I saw a quote from Zig Ziglar from 1998. So that's the last quote I could find online. But anyway, let's get stuck in, okay? Let's get stuck in with some of the things that he's got in this book. It's not really, as the title says, you and your network. It's not really about networking. It really is about just getting the most out of life. It's more of a personal development book full of wisdom. Chapter 1 is all around joy, joy for the journey. He says joy is adequacy for life. With it, we become survivors in a hectic world. Joy makes this journey a profitable pleasure, a trip with meaning. What a great opening to the book. So then he's got an entire chapter where he talks about joy. He talks about keeping the rainbow, choosing your attitude, give yourself into forgetfulness. He goes, the essence of joy is the willingness to give oneself and let go and just forget. You know, you're in this state of peace. And he says, forget yourself. So there's a whole section there. I'm going to get into more specific things that I thought were really good. One of the key chapters is the people in your network. One of his friends, Zig Ziglar, who I've also talked about in one of the other book videos, talks about, you know, the size of your network determines your net worth. Some people believe it's not about the size, it's about the quality of your network. And more importantly, if you were to call someone up at 3 a.m. in the morning and they don't pick up, would they return your call? Would they get back to you as soon as possible? So I think it's also about the quality of relationships that you have. And he talks about, in this particular book, that your network is not just business associates. He talks about friends. He talks about your family. So there's a network around you, and that the quality of that network and those relationships will determine who you become in your life. So in this chapter, it says the people in your network. Networking is the way most things happen. And even though it is a fairly new term, it's an old idea and concept. Great achievers have always understood the necessity of organized assistance. I like that. Thinking of it as an organized assistance. Ancient dynasties, empires, and kingdoms were supported by intermarriage networks, for they knew that blood was thicker than water. And I'm just going to pause there because I can really relate to that, especially across Africa, Middle East, and Asia, and especially South Asia, with a lot of Indian families, where I'm sure for those of you watching, you understand the concept of arranged marriages. It still happens today. The only difference now is the next generation will get a chance to meet each other, date each other for a while and get to know each other. But really, how the introduction was made in the first place was really families thinking about their bloodline, thinking about how these two people will come together and thinking about the next generation after that. So he talks about ancient dynasties, empires, and kingdoms were supported by intermarriage networks. for they knew that blood was thicker than water. I love that. Successful businesses have depended on building the network between suppliers, customers, government agencies, stockholders or shareholders, employees, and management. And then he carries on describing into more detail what it really means to have a great network around you. It says here, work the plan later on in that chapter. Our intermediate goals give us specific opportunities for planning. Therefore, we must concentrate on the immediate goal enough to develop a plan that will accomplish it. Many years ago, when I was doing a series of business lectures in Chicago, a young Paul Mayer came from Florida to spend the day with me. It was a memorable day for me and I hope helpful for him. He showed me his plan for success, which he has certainly followed. One of the features I adopted into my own thinking, and here's the quote I'm just going to finish on this section with, it says, set the goal, then forget it, and concentrate on working the plan enthusiastically. Yeah, let's just pause on that. Set the goal. What is your goal? Then forget it and concentrate on working the plan enthusiastically. So once it's set, just work towards it. You don't need to keep resetting the goal, keep looking at the goal. Just walk towards it, do something, working the plan is and be enthusiastic about it. So I thought that was really cool. Then he's got a whole section on money. Okay, there's a whole area about money, your interpretation of money, setting your goals. He says money disciplines. A few early money disciplines served me well, and naturally I suggest these or similar ones for consideration. I adopted these when I was making $208 per month in 1941. Wow. Mary Alice and I married in 1937 and with $5 between us. Really, it was her $5. I jokingly tell her that if she thinks that we should have had more money when we married, then she would have saved more. So he's got a whole breakdown here. I'll read a couple of things and I think it's worthwhile. Again, why don't you find out more about the book? See if you can grab a copy from Amazon or from a local bookshop. I know it's an old book, but I'm sure it's still available out there from a lot of the online bookstores. It says, number one, define a lifestyle, then find a way to finance it. Earning as much money as I could never seemed to be the right focus for me. Money was a means that was to be swapped for something else. Some advice here. Make all you can and then develop a lifestyle to consume the money. That is materialism. It's also frustrating, and very few who have adopted that philosophy really well, they are living a meaningful life. So I think he's got 3 pages just on this one point about this discipline. Define a lifestyle, then find a way to finance it. I think that's really powerful. Number 2 is maintain adequate savings. And he talks about later on in this section about building a reserve policy, which I totally agree. We do this with family constitutions when we're working with family businesses, which is always to have that reserve policy. And then he was talking to a friend there in Mexico, and he had something written on a piggy bank called FFGTHF. And his friend said, what is this about? And he said, it stands for Fat Fred's Go to Hell Fund. So it's a bit like a reserve policy, put some savings in there, and that's what he had on his piggy bank. 3, define financial security, definite figure. So, I refer to this as knowing your magic number. And he's saying the same thing here, which is define financial security with a definitive figure. You know your number, and that goes back to setting goals. And again, he's got an entire chapter that continues all about money, the disciplines to have. He's got over 15 things just in that chapter alone. Chapter 2 is about knowing your heroes, finding mentors. He's got an entire chapter on finding a mentor, or if you're going to become a mentor to the next generation or other people from outside your family, what should be some of the steps that you should take and how do you make sure that it's successful? So he talks about mentoring, he talks about role models. I'm going to skip towards the end of the book with a few more points and get into your friends. He's got a whole section about friends. What I love about this particular section, these couple of pages around character. So he says, character has to be evaluated. Increasingly, I realize that friendship cannot really be established until each feels that he has properly evaluated the other's character. I think that's so important. I'm not saying men or women of poor character cannot be good friends. There have been many. Neither am I saying that all men or women of good character can become close friends. Men of excellent character sometimes can abide each other personally. I'm convinced, however, that friendships involves an evaluation of character, good, bad, or otherwise. Each must know where the potholes are and find a reasonable rationale for them. Each must know the other well enough to feel that he can predict actions as well as understand reactions. And I'll pause there. I think that's brilliant. How many people fall out because they don't know each other's good points, bad points, and ugly points? I think it's important to understand the character of people. And then he talks about how to go about doing that. Keeping confidence, mutual irritations, he calls it. No one's perfect. It's okay to have a mutual irritation. I think that's really cool. And we're not perfect. Testing the friendship over time in different environments. And then it carries on from there. And then I get to this bit, the qualities of intimate friendship. And before that, he talks about when friendship dies. There are friendships that have an expiry date. You're done. Maybe that person came into your life for a reason, and vice versa. Maybe you're not compatible. Maybe there's certain things that are irritating you too much. But he says you have to admit it. You have to know when it's time to move on, that friendship is not working. Don't let the rejection make enemies of you. Keep confidence that you received while friends. So he talks about memories here. Number 4, keeping memories. So it doesn't matter if it comes to an end. Hold on to the good memories, okay? Don't focus on the bad stuff or maybe how that friendship could have ended, because it does happen with everybody. But the qualities of intimate friendship, he goes, when I think of my friends, I think of 3 words: freedom, acceptance, and safety. By freedom, I mean the quality of being unrestrained. We can be totally open with each other without any apology or without any doubt or rethinking. If we make a mistake, we laugh, not apologize. I mean, how many friends do you have right now? I can only count a few really at that level, I would say, where freedom, acceptance, and safety comes in. You can be absolutely yourself. There's no apology required. There's no doubting. There's no judgment. That's a powerful relationship if you can count, friends just on one hand, where you could use that as a qualifier. And safety, he means a safe relation that has a secure but toned down feeling about it. A relation with a peaceful harbour. We can comfortably dock alongside each other. We need to feel safe from being used or pushed into a disadvantage. You even need to feel safe in the knowledge that in a moment of weakness, we'll be restrained from a burst of passion. So wow, really, really good stuff. And then section 8, chapter 8 is all about your family, okay? Your network is not just about friends and people outside. Your family is your network. So he talks about the ultimate way of measuring relationships with your family. I think I probably would like to do another video just on this section because it's really, really powerful, especially for a lot of families we deal with and family businesses. So he talks about, in this chapter, I want to look at the part of a family plays in an individual support network. It is not my purpose to decry the reality of a family deteriorating, even though I could do so with deep conviction. But here I am trying to deal with the reality of the family in our support network. All about us, we see various family patterns: single parent families, mingled families where formerly divorced parents are remarried, and families with 2 parents and children fully blood-related living together. All these different families, no matter which pattern they follow, can be happy with normal problems, no less, if they cluster, I love that word, if they cluster in a healthy, magnetized relationship of love. And he goes on from there, how many happy homes, husband and wife coming together. He said the first step in building a strong family support system is for the parents to love each other, not only as lovers, but also as friends. When a couple fail to remain friends, they open a large field for competitive games. Some couples, however, seem to thrive on vicious competition. They set up their in-laws or friends or referees or spectators, and eventually may visit with professional counselors who frequently do much more refereeing than counseling. But as competitors, they don't want to counsel. They want to win and eventually do the other end. Unfortunately, these couples also use their children as spectators. Eventually, the couple perform before anyone, cab drivers, store clerks, church members, even folks on the street who happen to be standing nearby. They contest because the reason for them being together, they would divorce, but they have a good competition gaming each other on, and they aren't going to stop it until death or neighbors do them apart. And it goes on about why it's so important to have a great husband and wife, life partner relationship, and especially if you've got kids and you're going to become role models. This is a really important part of your family support system. Parental authority is the next area he gets into. Then he talks about relationships with your children. When the children are young, parents must take all the responsibility. But our function as parents is also to build our children a sense of responsibility, which will eventually release them from our guidance. I like that. As our children once learn from us, there will come a time, it is hoped, when we can learn from them. I think that's so powerful. As we taught them, now they teach us. Wow. And then from there, he talks about the importance of family rituals. Family rituals are important. In all societies, families need habitual, special times such as holidays, anniversaries, birthdays, with special effort is made to be together. Even daily rituals, he talks about, such as reading and prayer together, promote family strength. So how frequently do you get together with your family? What are your family rituals? I'd love to know. Maybe you could drop them in the comment section. And don't forget to hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. And we have many other show themes in the actual channel. We've got 12 now different show themes that are running with different video content dropping every day. So please, do subscribe. Let me summarize with some other things that he says to think about. And this section here, by the way, again, is all to do with family as a summary. He says, if there were more laughing in marriage, there would be less laughing at it. Fantastic quote. Too many marriages start out in bliss and end up in blisters. It is better religion to be kind at home than to pray in the church. And he carries on with so many quotes here. If your wife doesn't treat you as she should, be grateful. Okay. And that's pretty much it. Those are the things I wanted to share with you today. He's got one little quote here, tribute. It says, I wish I could have been as good a parent as my children are to our grandchildren. Wow. I think I'm going to finish on that. Once again, Getting the Most Out of Life, You and Your Network by Fred Smith. I hope you get a chance to check out the book on Amazon. Check it out. See if you can purchase it from your local bookshop. Come back and leave your comments once you've gone through the entire book. It's quite an easy read, 200 pages and full of really good content. So on that note, thank you very much for watching another episode of book videos on the channel. Please come back again and don't forget to share our videos as well with your loved ones and all your family members. Thank you so much for watching.